Hello and welcome to our daily learning video for today. We're going to be learning about letter B, Sue. And B is for bubbles. Do you like bubbles? I like bubbles too. Well, today we're going to make some homemade bubble solution and do 2 science experiments. It's going to be a fun day, so I'm glad you joined us. I want you to sit down for a moment, Sue, so we can get started. Our letter of the day is the letter B. This is what letter B looks like. There's an uppercase and a lowercase b. Can you say B? Well, if your name has a B, stand up. If your name has a B, stand up. If your name has a B, if your name has a B, if your name has a B, stand up. Well, we're going to decorate the letter B today with blueberries. I'm going to be using some blue paint and a Q-tip to make my blueberries. So let's do that right now together. You can decorate your letter B any way you'd like to. This is just one idea, but a Q-tip makes a really great blueberry maker if you want to decorate it in this way. Get some more paint, put some more blueberries all over this. Okay. That looks pretty good. I love all these blueberries. Now we're going to see if we can write the letter B, but before we do, I need to blow some bubbles for you, because the letter B has 2 bubbles. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's make the number 1, and then we're going to blow 2 bubbles. 1, and then blow 2 bubbles, just like that. I'll show you again. 1 and 2 bubbles. Now you can skywrite if you'd like to, or you can practice on some handwriting paper like this handwriting house sheet. You're going to make the number 1 go upstairs and downstairs. You're going to blow a bubble upstairs and then 1 bubble downstairs. 1 and 2 bubbles, just like that. 1 and 2 bubbles. Can you try? Okay, this is the uppercase letter B. Now I'd like to show you the lowercase b, but before I do, I have to blow more bubbles, because the lowercase b, I'll catch one. There it is. The lowercase b has a little bubble just like this. I'll show you. So make a number 1, and then you're going to trace back up to the middle and blow a bubble. Let's see that again. So make a number 1, trace back up and over and blow a bubble. Well, now we're going to see what that looks like on the handwriting house. That little bubble is going to be downstairs. So make a number 1, come back up to the middle and blow a bubble downstairs. 1 bubble. You give it a try. 1 bubble. 1 bubble. Okay, there you have it. That was our handwriting time for today. And I'd like to cheer for you. You were working so hard on handwriting. Thank you so much. Well, now it's time for phonics. And letter B makes this sound. B, b, b. Can you try to make that sound? The letter B says b, 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 b. Good. It kind of sounds like we're popping bubbles, doesn't it? Can you pop some bubbles? Do your hand like this, okay? B, 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 b. The letter B says b, Well, we're going to pop some bubbles together right now. Can you do your finger like this toward the screen and pretend to pop these bubbles and make that letter B sound? What does letter B say? So letter B makes what sound? Very, very good job. Well, we know what letter B sounds like. Do you remember what letter A sounds like? A says, ah, 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 ah. Excuse me. What does letter A sound like? Ah, 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 achoo. Actually, that's what letter A sounds like. Letter A sounds like ah, 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 as in achoo. So we're going to put the letter B with the letter A together today and start some blending. That's an early reading skill. So let's put that letter A here. And then we're going to add the letter B right in the front of it. Now we know what letter B sounds like. We just talked about it. What does B say? B, 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 b. And what does letter A say? Ah, ah, ah. So let's put those two sounds together. You ready? B, ah, ba, 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 ba. You did it. You're blending. Let's do it again. Ba, ba, ba. Well, you're on your way to reading because that's all that reading is. Reading is just learning those letter sounds and putting those sounds together. And we always start by blending just two at a time. And you did it. That's what you did here today. Let's blend this one more time. B, ah, ba, ba. Well, great work. I'm going to give you a blue sticker. You worked so hard on our phonics today. Here it comes. Thank you so much. And now we're going to do our color that we've been working on. It's the color black, and it starts with letter B. Can you help me get a beat going? Clap your hands like this. B-L-A-C-K spells black. B-L-A-C-K spells black. Flying bats are black. Scary cats are black. Jelly beans are black. I like black. So how do you spell the color black? B-L-A-C-K spells black. Well, we're going to head over to the art table now and make some bubbles. Bubbles starts with letter B, and we're going to make some big bubbles. That's another letter B word. So let's head over to the art table, everyone. I'll see you there. To make some homemade bubbles, you're just going to get a bowl and add 2 cups of warm water. Next, you're going to add 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Don't worry about getting these exactly right. It's going to be fine and turn out just great no matter what. Then we're going to add some dish liquid, and any kind of dish liquid works just fine. 1/4 of a cup. Next, we're going to stir. Now we have our dish liquid, but we don't have anything to blow bubbles with. So we're going to make a homemade bubble wand. I'm using pipe cleaners, and I think I'll pick blue since letter B is for blue. I'm folding my pipe cleaner in half like this, and then I'm going to come to the end and start twisting. I'm going to keep twisting almost all the way to the top. I'm going to leave a hole in the top just like this so that that can be my bubble wand and blow the bubbles. So there you have it, a homemade bubble wand. And now let's try this out and see if we can blow some bubbles. Whoa, this makes really big bubbles. I'll come around and show you that a little bit better. Let me show you those bubbles again. Whoa, that does make big bubbles. Let's try it again. Wow, have some fun making big giant bubbles today if you'd like to. Well, now we're going to do a science experiment, actually two. We're going to try to get a balloon to blow up, and I'm not going to be using my mouth. So the first thing I'm going to do is put these two empty water bottles on the shelf. In the first water bottle, I'm going to be adding some vinegar. That looks like about enough. And then I'm going to be taking a balloon and I'm going to use a funnel to put some baking soda down into the balloon. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to shake it so that I can make sure all the baking soda goes down into the bottom of the balloon. I think it's all down there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on the top of the water bottle. Now, watch what happens when I let the baking soda go down and mix with the vinegar. Wow, look at the balloon. It's blowing up. Let me tell you what's happening. Can you see all those bubbles? When I mix the vinegar and the baking soda together, a chemical reaction happens. It releases carbon dioxide bubbles, and that gas goes up and fills up the balloon. That was pretty cool. I think we can do one more science experiment. This time, though, we're going to be adding some water. I'll get my funnel again to help me. And this water is warm, and I'm just going to put the warm water down into the bottom of the bottle. Now, next I'm going to be adding some yeast. Yeast is the stuff that you use if you're baking bread, and so it's actually resting, but yeast is a living organism. And when I add it to this warm water, it's going to wake it up. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast. It's about 1 packet. Okay, now when you start waking up, do you like to eat? I know I do. And the yeast, once we get it awake, I'm just swirling it around to kind of help wake it up with that warm water. Once we get that yeast awake, it's going to want to eat. And you know what yeast eats really well? Sugar. So that's what we're going to give it. We're going to give it some sugar. I'm going to be using a tablespoon and putting in 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3. Let's shake that up just a little bit, just to make sure that yeast is waking up and getting ready to eat that sugar. Okay, next I'm going to take a balloon and I'm just going to fix it on the top of the water bottle. Now this one takes a little bit of time to work, and I'll tell you why. Once we get that yeast awake and it starts to eat the sugar, it blows bubbles. And those bubbles are carbon dioxide bubbles, just like we had before in this bottle. But it takes a little time for that yeast to wake up and start eating that sugar and blowing those bubbles. So we're going to let this one sit while we do our story time, and then we'll look back at it and see how it looks, okay? For our story time today, we're going to be reading Fancy Nancy, Bubbles, Bubbles, and More Bubbles. Fancy Nancy, Bubbles, Bubbles, and More Bubbles by Jane O'Connor. Ooh la la, I have splendid news. Splendid is fancy for great. Tomorrow our class is seeing the Big Bubble Show. Mrs. Glass has been teaching us about bubbles. Bubbles always come out round, I tell my family, and I'll prove it. I blow into a square wand. Voila! Round bubbles. I blow into a star wand. Voila! More round bubbles. Then I demonstrate, that means show, how to hold a bubble. Dunk your hand in the bubble mix first, and then you can hold a bubble too. Later, the bell outside my room rings. Oh no, there's horrendous news. Horrendous means very, very bad. My friend Bree is sick. She cannot go to the Big Bubble Show. I'm very sad. It won't be as much fun without Bree there. The next day, all through the show, I think of Bree. I wish he could see the bubbles snowfall, and the bubbles filled with smoke, and a hat made of bubbles that lands on Lionel's head. Can you spot the hat that's made of bubbles? There it is. Here's the bubble hat. The finale is the best part. Finale is a fancy word for the end. It is a bubble ballet. The dancers make giant bubbles that float to the music. It is magical to watch. At home, there's a message from Bree. More horrendous news. She will not be back at school before Friday. Was the bubble show great? She writes. I do not want to make her feel bad, so all I write back is, it was pretty good. That night I perform, that means act, for my family. I dance like the dancers in the finale. Then suddenly a bubble goes pop inside my head. I have an idea. Mrs. Glass and the kids think it's a splendid idea. We make up a bubble dance. We leap and spin and twirl all over the place. On Friday, Bree is back. The front of the room is our stage. There is a sign. It says, a bubble ballet for Bree. Bree sits up front. She is the audience. An audience means the people watching a show. Mrs. Glass puts on the music and voila, we start dancing. It's not easy dancing and blowing bubbles at the same time. Try it and you'll see. Are we as good as the dancers at the show? No. Are our bubbles as big? No. Does Bree enjoy our ballet anyway? Yes, yes, yes. At the end, we bow and curtsy. Bree stands and claps. Bravo, she whispers. She can't shout. Her throat still hurts a little. Bree asks us to do the bubble dance again. This time she joins in. And guess what? She blows the biggest bubble of them all. The end. We'll take a look at our experiment. Can you see that the yeast was blowing lots of bubbles? You can see them here. And remember, those bubbles are carbon dioxide, and that gas went up and filled our balloon. This one takes a little while to do, so don't get discouraged if you have to wait a bit for that one to work. Well, I hope you had some fun today. Maybe you'll get to make your very own bubble solution and wand. That was so much fun today. We blew some pretty big bubbles. Come next time and we'll learn about letter C. I'll see you then. Goodbye, everyone.